Hello everyone. We'll continue now in part 2 of the purpose of the Messiah on more points about the death of Jesus, but also I want to explain about the extent of salvation through the cross of Jesus. Of course, Jesus died and he brought salvation, and even though we don't have the kingdom of heaven on the earth, we don't have perfected people, but what is the nature of our salvation in believing in Jesus? But first of all, we'll continue on explaining about the points about Jesus' death, and then we'll lead on to the extent of salvation through the cross. Matthew 19:28, Jesus said to them, "Truly I say to you, in the new world, when the Son of Man sits on his glorious throne, you who have followed me will also sit on 12 thrones, judging the 12 tribes of Israel." So you can see from this that actually Jesus' 12 disciples were meant to be the rulers of Israel if Jesus was accepted. And that includes also Judas Iscariot, who is one of the 12. So we can see from this that Judas Iscariot was not meant to betray Jesus, and that led to Jesus' crucifixion. Jesus predicts the coming destruction of Jerusalem was because they did not recognize him as the Messiah and follow him. In Luke 19:41-44, Jesus said, "And when he drew near and saw the city, he wept over it, saying, Would that you, even you, had known on this day the things that make for peace, but now they are hidden from your eyes. For the days will come upon you when your enemies will set up a barricade around you and surround you and hem you in on every side and tear you down to the ground, you and your children within you, and they will not leave one stone upon another in you, because you did not know the time of your visitation." But Jesus is very clearly stating that they did not know the time of their visitation of the Messiah, who they're waiting for. People thought that getting rid of Jesus would bring peace, but Jesus told them that getting rid of Jesus would never bring peace, and his prediction of the destruction of Jerusalem came true actually in 70 AD, when the Romans came and crushed Israel, because there was a rebellion there at that time, but they completely destroyed Jerusalem, and Jerusalem and Israel lost their nationhood at that point. And for the last 2,000 years after that, they suffered all around the world. They lost their nation, and it wasn't until 1948, after the Holocaust, that they regained their nation. This is a terrible consequence of the death and rejection of Jesus, according to Jesus' own words. We'll look now, actually, the extent of salvation through the cross. See, Jesus came as the Messiah, and he is a perfect man, his spirit body and physical body, but he came to save humanity. So what should have happened at that time? We know human being situations as a part of Satan's lineage, where Jesus said, "You are of your father the devil, and your will is to do your father's desires." But Jesus very clearly stated that their relationship with Jesus had to be very close in order to be saved. In Matthew 10:37, he stated, "Whoever loves father or mother more than me is not worthy of me, and whoever loves son or daughter more than me is not worthy of me." So Jesus stated very clearly that in order to be saved, people had to be completely one with Jesus. It was a very serious matter. And in John 15:5, Jesus compared himself to a vine tree. He said, "I am the vine, you are the branches. Whoever abides in me, and I in him, he it is that bears much fruit, for apart from me you can do nothing. If anyone here does not abide in me, he is thrown away like a branch and withers. So in order to separate from Satan, people had to totally unite with Jesus. So the people Jesus was addressing at that time were people who knew about farming as an agricultural society. When there's a dying tree, if you want to save some of the branches, some of the fruits, you have to cut them off and bring them to a healthy tree and engraft them. It means totally unite with the healthy tree, and then those fruits can be saved. This is the analogy that Jesus was telling them what they need to do to totally unite with Jesus, loving him more than their parents, more than their children. This is such a serious matter. If they did this, of course, then they would be able to separate from Satan, unite with Jesus spiritually and physically, and they would have achieved a complete salvation, physical and spiritual, because they would have been able to separate from Satan. But unfortunately, when they did not believe in Jesus like this, when there was no faith in Jesus, there was no salvation. So this means that Satan could totally control them. And that's why Jesus spent his whole life trying to get people to achieve that kind of commitment in their faith, to totally unite with Jesus. And nobody did in the end. It was so hard. So in this case, if Jesus didn't die, if Jesus lived his whole own life, lived a long life, there would be no salvation at all. In fact, the world would have been a worse situation than before, because judgment is supposed to happen at the time of the Messiah. Satan could never completely take the world, but when the Messiah comes and they reject him, then the opposite of God's will can be realized. Satan can say, your Messiah has come, and they rejected him. So that at that point, he could claim the whole world. So this is a very serious time. Satan was going to claim the world, but God said, no, first you have to take Jesus. Just like first you had to take Adam at the beginning. Now you have to take the second Adam. So Satan thought he could take Jesus and destroy him, then you take all humanity. So we can see the steps leading up to Jesus' crucifixion. It wasn't just the crucifixion. Jesus tried to destroy Jesus internally. The way he was beaten, he was whipped, flogged. Even on the cross, it's the most cruel of deaths, very slow death. But if Jesus had given up at that point, Satan could have claimed him. But Jesus defeated Satan. He kept faith in God even to the very last. He prayed for his enemies, he prayed for them, and he went to God in the spiritual world intact. So Satan could take the body of Jesus, but he could not take the spirit. So the victory for God was the resurrection. You see, the cross in this case was a ransom. It was given to Satan. It was a victory for Satan. But Jesus could come back because he defeated Satan on the cross, and this is a victory for God. So he could open the way, open a realm in the spiritual world we call paradise that was not there before, and all those who believed in Jesus, they become one with Jesus from that point on. They can be with Jesus. But Satan still claims the physical world. That's why the lives of faithful Christians, they still get tempted by Satan. They can still be attacked by Satan. And this is what Paul was referring to in Romans 8:23. But we ourselves who have the first fruits of the Spirit groan inwardly as we wait for adoption as sons, the redemption of our bodies. So Jesus' death on the cross was an incredible achievement, incredible victory for God. But it brought spiritual salvation only. Physical salvation is for at the time of Christ's return. This is the purpose for the second coming of Christ. And so, the meaning of Jesus' death, see, Satan was able to tempt Adam, and he dominated Adam. When he did this, then he took all of humanity. Jesus came as the second Adam, as 1 Corinthians 15:45 states. The first man, Adam, became a living being. The last Adam became a life-giving spirit. See, Adam failed to give life, spiritual life, to his descendants, because they fell into Satan's lineage because of his fall. But Jesus could be a life-giving spirit because he defeated Satan on the cross. So Satan took the physical body only, not the spirit. So this is the achievement. The Messiah, Christ, must come again at the end of history. He'll bring the kingdom of heaven on the earth to complete the mission of Jesus. Christ will come to complete his mission on the earth. Now, there are other reasons why Jesus did not die, very important reasons. In the next presentation, we'll look at another dual prophecy. There are dual prophecies about the coming of Elijah and the mission of John the Baptist. So thank you for listening to this presentation, and I'll see you again in the next presentation, part 3 of the purpose of the Messiah. Thank you very much.